Organization isn't about perfection, it's about efficiency. Reducing stress and clutter, saving time and money, and improving your overall quality of life. Here are 6 tips that are going to help make your school year easier for you. And stick around to the end because there's a bonus tip that I'm going to share with you. Hey counselors and future counselors, come on in and get this knowledge. Tip number 1, buy a cube shelf or a bookshelf. These can be used for 2 things, decoration and organization. So you can buy a cube shelf from Walmart or IKEA. If you want to find one that's inexpensive, check Facebook Marketplace or a thrift store. Those cute, colorful bins can be used for your fidgets and your calm down materials, and they can be used for your lesson resources. Also check Dollar Tree or Target and get some of those magazine or book holders, especially for my elementary and middle school counselors. You're going to need a place to store your books for your social emotional learning lessons. Or you can do like me and get milk crates from Target or Walmart and store all your books there. In those milk crates for your books can also be used for decorations because it can add a touch of color to your office. Just for fun, share a character from a TV show, a movie, or a cartoon who's known to be responsible and organized. For me, I always think of Monica from Friends. Before you go out and buy a file cabinet, check to see if your office already has one. You can either call the school and see if someone can check for you, or you can go up there on your own if you have access to do so. I use my file cabinet solely to keep important documents like permission slips for small groups, 504 documents, RTI materials, and sensitive information like CPS and family referrals. And it's really good because they usually have a lock on them. Where do pirates store their old files? In the archives. Tip number 3, buy some plastic bins to store your lesson plan materials. You can buy these from a number of places. You can go to Walmart, Hobby Lobby, Target. You can even get some from Five Below actually. But you get these plastic bins and you store all of your lesson plan materials like your anger management, your coping skills, your positive affirmations, all of those things so that you have them all in one place. And it's a really good idea to place labels on them so you know how to easily get to them. And remember that cube shelf that I talked about in tip number 1? This is a good place for you to store those plastic bins. Or you can easily slide them under your desk so people can't see them. It depends on how big your office space is. If you don't want to get those plastic bins, an alternative is you can get a rolling cart. I bought my rolling cart from Michael's. I store all of my individual counseling lesson materials in those. I love it because it's colorful and it matches my personality and the flow of my office. And I didn't pay that much for it. I think it was like $25, so that's not too bad. Summer is a great time to start looking for coupons and deals on office materials and resources. And one other option, for me, I have a hanging file folder that I have on one of my walls and I place resources in that too so I can easily get to them when I need them. The goal is you don't want to be scrambling for things when you need them. Like for example, if a student comes in your office and they're really upset and they need coping skills right away, you want to be able to go and get one of your resources and immediately use it, not sit up here and try to find it and look through your piles of papers or your desk and all those things. The more easily you can access your materials, the better it's going to be for you and that student who comes in your office. The beautiful thing about organization as a counselor or educator in general is that you have to find a system that works for you. So I'm going to share a couple of different ideas and you just pick what works for you. Another idea to store your lesson plan materials is buying a binder. You can buy binders for all of your things and organize them. Like for example, you can have a binder for your anger management materials, for your mindfulness and meditation materials. The only thing with that is those get bulky. Those binders can take up a lot of space. So what I do is I have a really big binder, just one, and I keep a master copy of my resources in those. So for example, I keep one copy in a protective sleeve, and if I need it, I can easily go and make copies of that as opposed to have multiple binders with all these things because it takes up too much space. But again, you do what works best for you. If you have a really good bookshelf and you can support multiple binders, then go for it by all means. Tip number 4, list. Make to-do lists, contact lists, phone logs, all of those things. First thing you should do is buy an inexpensive planner. So I have an ARC planner that I bought from Staples, and I have all of these lists in my planner already. So whenever a student drops in to see me, I have a little section that I fill out where I write the student's name, the brief reason why they came to see me, and the date. You don't want to keep very, very detailed notes because 1, that takes up a lot of space, and 2, your notes can be subpoenaed in court. For example, Johnny and Susie came to see me one day because they were arguing. So I put Johnny and Susie, the date, conflict. Simple. You can also do this digitally if you don't want to keep paper, but for me, I kind of do a combination of both. So you can make a very simple Google sheet where you document the student who came in, the reason, and the date. I also do this for my family phone call log. So whether you do this digitally or on paper, you're going to need this information for your data for your mid-year and your end-of-year school counseling reports. So it's a really good idea to keep up with it and get in the habit of keeping track of these things. I try to get to work a couple minutes early because it gives me time to sit down and create a to-do list for that day. So when I create a to-do list, I'm writing the major things that I need to get accomplished, and I try to prioritize them. And then I write down the students that I need to check in with from either the day before or something that I know happened that I need to see them. This will help you stay organized too, because I love checking things off my list. A little word of advice: if you don't get all of your things done on your to-do list by the end of the day, don't sweat it, just roll it over to the next day. Because you can come in and have everything all planned out and something major happens and it derails your whole day. As long as you have a plan, that's all that matters. Tip number 5, rely on your digital calendar. Whether you use Outlook or Gmail, it's a really good idea to color code all of your appointments on your calendar. Not only does it look appealing and pretty, it also helps you to stay focused. Just know that when you're creating your schedule, your leader may ask you to share your calendar with them. Sharing your calendar actually helps because it eliminates going back and forth and asking, are you available? Like, for example, if there's a team meeting or a parent conference, you can easily look at someone's calendar and see when the time that they have blocked out, as opposed to calling them or texting them or emailing them. Just check. Also, a really good idea to create a weekly schedule for yourself, so stick around. I'm going to share that video coming up really soon. Tip number 6 is appointments. I'm going to share a couple quick tips that work for me. I set alarms on my phone. I have hall duty, and so when it's time to transition and help those students get to classes, I have to be in my duty spot. And if you get busy with something, it's easy to lose track of time. So I have bell notifications, alarms set in my phone to go off when it's time for transition, to make sure that I'm on time and where I need to be. So you may not want to take your planner with you everywhere because it might be bulky, but it's a good idea to keep a mini notebook or a pack of sticky notes in your pocket, because I can guarantee you when you're walking down the hall, students or teachers or staff are going to stop you and tell you something that's important or want you to do something. I always request that staff email or text me their request just in case so I won't forget it, but it's a good idea to have that notebook or those sticky notes readily available so that you can write things down so you remember them later on. Comment below. I would love to hear your thoughts. What was your favorite tip from this video? Something you already do that works for you, or something you plan on doing in the future? And if you got value from this video, I need you to do 3 things. Like this video, subscribe to this channel, and hit that bell notification so you're aware when I post new videos. Now, I told you to stick around to the end for the bonus tip. The bonus tip is this video playlist that I'm creating for new counselors. Now, it's not just for new school counselors who have just started and getting hired. It's also for other experienced counselors too. These are some really good tips overall. Check out this video on planning tips for a successful stress-free school year.